Steve, this would be, extraordinary images, extraordinary in terms of this development. What are we expecting?
Well, it seems as though that this crisis that has really erupted in South Korea now for a month. In fact, it was a month ago today that Yoon Suk Yeol, the president, issued that ill-fated declaration of martial law, which triggered this crisis in South Korea. But again, he's refused 3 different times to meet with investigators, of course, after the arrest warrant was issued by the Seoul Western District Court on Tuesday. And now it has come to a head outside his residence in central Seoul, where about 3,000 police officers have joined with investigators from the Corruption Investigation Office for high-ranking officials, which are now said to be acting on that arrest warrant. Keep in mind, they have just 7 days until that, from the issuance of the warrant until it expires. So that would be at the end of Monday. So today and through this weekend, things could come to a boil and to a head, obviously. We have not gotten any reports yet whether the team of investigators have teamed up with the police to try and essentially break their way through hundreds of Yoon supporters who have rallied outside of the presidential residence, as Yoon is said to be inside and staying there and refusing to cooperate. In fact, his legal team yesterday issued or made a petition in court as well to essentially say that any move to get the police and the anti-corruption investigators together would be an illegal move. In fact, this arrest warrant and the proceedings so far, the Yoon team has called illegal and invalid. So there's a standoff essentially right now, and we're going to have to see how this obviously plays out. It might not happen today. It could potentially happen over the weekend, but something will happen by Monday, obviously, when the arrest warrant potentially expires. And again, this investigation, the anti-corruption investigation team, if they do in fact arrest him, they would have then 48 hours to decide whether to formally arrest the president or release him. So lots yet to be determined.
And Steve, in fact, in just the last couple of minutes, we're hearing more Yonhap reporting saying that investigators in Korea have now entered Yoon's residence. So there has been indication from him that he would stay and fight it out in court. Do we know what sort of time frame, what happens from here? And, this is a country that's engulfed in sort of so many different types of crises at the moment. Do we expect any sort of stability any time to come?
Well, we obviously have to hear the results from the Constitutional Court. So following that impeachment on December 14th, the ball was then handed on to the Constitutional Court and they've begun, we're hearing, deliberations on the move to potentially remove President Yoon. So the Constitutional Court would, either have to rule by I don't know the exact date, but on whether to uphold the impeachment and then go ahead for the proceedings to potentially remove the president. So there are still a number of procedural steps to go. But right now, the Anti-Corruption Investigation Force is acting on that Seoul Western District Court arrest warrant that was issued Tuesday. So that will come to a head. I believe President Yoon is probably trying to hold out as long as possible for the warrant to expire on Monday and then move to the next step. So there's a procedure going on here. Whether, of course, the anti-corruption investigation officers and the police can, as you said, they've entered the house, whether they can formally arrest him and take him into custody and begin that process is something that is going to be playing out over the next few hours.
And in fact, Steve, this is sort of playing out over the next few minutes, it seems. Investigators in South Korea, having entered Yoon's residence, have now attempted to arrest Yoon. They've begun exercising their arrest warrant. This is according to the latest in Yonhap. And obviously, this is moving very quickly. We've also seen, of course, a number of other aspects of this crisis, and the fact that, the opposition as well as the leadership that remains in place hasn't been in place for very long. They're now dealing with, of course, not just this constitutional crisis and the governance crisis, but also trying to manage the country through the aftermath and the mourning period after the Jeju Airlines disaster as well. We've also seen South Korea cutting their growth forecast after this martial law fiasco. How big are the challenges for whoever the next government and leader is going to be?
The storm in South Korea right now, given the constitutional and presidential crisis and that air crash and a period of mourning in South Korea, it's just absolutely mind-boggling to think how and what the next steps of recovery of confidence will take, as this constitutional crisis potentially can go for the next month or two as the Constitutional Court reviews the whole process. But, any next administration, if we want to even jump ahead and speculate on that, would obviously, first task would be to restore that confidence and restore order in the presidential office.